Now, one of the most useful things you can do is to mark your queens. We've said this before. And so what we're going to do is literally mark this one. She's in a 3-frame nuke, easy to find. There she is there. We're going to keep our eye on her. We're going to pick her up and we're going to mark her. There she is. Now, the secret to this is to get her with her head facing out. And this is what we've got here. There she is. And we're going to put this frame so it doesn't fall over. And we're going to keep that queen just there. Look at that drone I've got on my fingers. Just a second. See the drone? I've got a queen in one hand and a drone on the other, look. There's a drone and there's a queen, look. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a marking pen and we're just going to go to the back of her thorax there and give her a little dab of white. Now, white is for this year, that's 2001. So what we do is we pop her into this. It's a little drop-in roller cage. And there she is in there. Now, the thing we're going to have to do is to cover her over. We're going to leave her in here for a few minutes to let her dry. So what we'll do is we just push these frames together. And we're going to put her there like that. And I'm going to get a cover cloth, which I don't have handy. I'm going to have to fetch one. And I'm going to cover this over. And we're going to sit that and let that dry for a few minutes. And so here's a cover cloth. And we're just going to cover that over like that. And we're going to leave it. Now, the bees can get at her, which is important. They don't get upset because she's suddenly disappeared and gone out the hive. But it gives an opportunity to dry that paint off. So there you go, that's marking queens. Easy, is it? Okay, well, we waited a few minutes and now we're going to let this queen out of here and we'll let her get back in the hive and she should be dry by now. And it's very simple. All we're going to do is to find the catch where she's held in place and we'll under that turn it round and she will run out. I'm not sure if we're going to see it, but see, the bees are trying to get to her. There she goes. There she's gone. She's back down in the hive again. And all these guys are just trying to find out what's going on. There's a little bit of sugar actually in this end, so they're trying to get into that. So there you go. That's marking queens. Now if we go and find her, and I'm not sure if I can easily. She went down here. Let's see if we can find her. And she's not on that frame. And here she is. I'm going to put my finger close to it so the hope with the camera will pick it up. And if you look carefully, you actually see a little white dot on the back of her head. She's quite happy. She's running around. The bees haven't done anything silly with her. Lots of people say, oh, it doesn't do them any good, but it doesn't do any harm either. Look. Okay. So there we go. Now I'm going to put this back into place. One of the other things that you should do is to give these bees, these little nukes, more brood space and more frame space as fast as possible because they will expand very rapidly. And so here we're going to go. This is from a frame that died, the hive that died in the winter, and there's some old brood there. Look, I'm sure if the camera will pick it up again. But give them a few hours, that will be gone, cleaned up. The queen will be laying in this, and very quickly this will expand very rapidly. So there's one extra one, and we'll give them a fifth one. And so now if we leave it long enough, we'll have a 5-frame nuke instead of a 3-frame nuke. So there we go. Okay, during the course of these tapes we've talked about drone layers and the effects, and I'm going to show you now what will happen, what a drone layer does, because this is a hive that I found the other day. We put a queen in it earlier in the week, or a couple of weeks ago, and this was early season when mating was suspect, and this is what you get. Look, see, now this queen was in here for a little while. There's all sorts of brood, but look at the volume of drones. You can see all the cells are all standing up all over the whole frame. There's virtually no worker in here at all, so this hive is going to have a major problem. Now on top of that they have made a queen, which is there. See that queen cell? And then we've got another started one here and another started one here. There's nothing in that one, I don't think, no. So actually there's one small egg in the bottom. So we're going to now have a problem. We have to decide what to do. This hive has got quite a lot of bees in it, it's got quite a lot of stores in it. It will be a shame to see it go to waste. There's the other side, look. And it really is a shame when this happens, but try as we may, we get the odd queens that don't mate properly, and this is the effect of it. Now fortunately it didn't go to a customer. I was the unfortunate one who got it. So now what we're going to do is to make a decision, and I think probably what we're going to do is we're going to knock this off. Yes, actually yes, there's a little bit of larvae in it. We're going to knock that one off and knock this one off, and we're going to go through this hive, not on camera, but we're going to go through this hive, find out how many queen cells we've got, and then we're going to unite it with another little newt we've got. So there you go, drone layers. Not a nice thing. Look at that, three more queen cells here. One there, nothing in it. One more there, nothing in it. One more there with an egg in it. So there you go. Here's a sight you don't want to see. This is a classic poor beekeeping. What caused it? Well, early in the spring we went through this hive very carefully. We found that this top box was full of honey. I know what's happened. This box now is almost full of honey as well. And so the amount of brood space and the amount of storage space for both honey and bees and brood just isn't big enough. Now if we left it long enough, they go over the fence, they swarm and gone. So we can't allow that. And so we've deliberately let this go so you can see what happens. Because lots of people come to me and they say, I've got a beard of bees. Well, that's a beard. And it's non-productive. It doesn't do any good. It doesn't do anybody any good. Because there's guys out here with pollen on, wandering around on the top here, can't get in the hive. So that's no good. So off camera, I don't propose to do it on camera, what we're going to do is take this all apart and take this box off completely, put a brand new box in through here with both open drawn comb and 1 or 2 sheets of foundation. We might as well give them something to do. So that's what we're going to do. Now it's a long dirty job and I don't propose to do it on camera, but that is a no-no. Don't let it happen. It's very bad for you and it's very non-cost effective, let's put it that way. Okay, remember this? This is the hive yesterday I showed you with a beard on the front. And in less than 24 hours, it's probably just over 12 actually, because this was done late in the afternoon yesterday and it's fairly early morning here now. But what we did was we took this whole hive apart. The top box had most of its honey removed and foundation put in there. And then a new box was put in the middle here, complete with a lot of empty comb and some foundation on the outer edges. So suddenly look, the bees are more productive. And if you really have a look and stopped and could see the hives on either side, this is flying a lot stronger than those are, because it's got somewhere to put some stuff. It's got somewhere to store honey. So here's a good point. If there's no storage space, they stop working. And that's non-productive and costly, because you're not getting the best out of your hives. Okay, as we've been working, we've been talking about frame manipulation, but we haven't shown you much because we haven't found anything that really wanted to show you, but here we have. Now, this was put in, this is a frame of foundation, and if you'll notice on the other side, look, it hasn't been touched. And we've deliberately left this to show you what will happen. The bees will, I was hoping that they would be drawing this out and that the queen would be laying in this area because we want this hive to expand. But it's not happening. And what is happening is that they've drawn out one side, and you can see the other side's untouched, and they've drawn out one side and they're busy putting honey through the whole thing. So this isn't what we want them to do, and it's not achieving what we want to do, and I'll show you why. This is a nuke that was strong. It's lost a lot of bees through attrition. I think they've just died because of old age. But what we've got here is predominantly a frame that the queen can't come over. It's full. Look how full it is on this side, look. Yeah. So the queen can't come past this because there's nowhere for her to lay in here, so she can't get onto this other one. So what we're going to do is, we're going to have a quick look at this anyway, but we're going to pull this frame out the way, and we're just going to quickly see what we've got here. Yeah, that's brood, and so is that. And so is that, look. See the brood on there, look. So that's brood as well, and again on that side. So what we're going to do is we're physically going to take this frame out of here and put it into there. Now, closing this up again, it means we've got drawn, new, drawn on one side and nothing on the other side. This is drawn, that's drawn, and so is that. So what we're going to do is force them. Mother Nature doesn't like a vacuum, and there's a gap now between the brood nests, so very quickly they will fill that up. They'll take some of that honey out the other side, and the queen will get to lay on that. Now we're going to open the nest up. Now this will then grow a lot faster than it is at the moment. It's been stagnating almost for the last 2 or 3 days, not going very far at all. And I've got a feeling that once we do that, you'll see. Now this is manipulation, and my book says you shouldn't do this, but I've always done it, and it's worked for me, and it works very well on the hives, so let's keep on going. Have a look at the front one. Let's see what they're doing up there. See, exactly the same thing again. Look, they're filling that all up with honey, and they haven't touched the other side either. See, there's the other side, and this is filling up with honey again. That's no good. So what we're going to do is turn this round and force them to work on this other side, and then once they've got started on this side of that one, then I'm going to pick this frame out and do exactly the same thing again, and that way we can get this hive going a lot faster than it is. Okay, there you go. So that's frame manipulation, or just one of them. Okay, now we showed you a few days ago frame manipulation, and this is the hive we did some work on. And if you remember at that time, we took a frame from the back here and we put it there. Now what we're going to do is, to get to that frame, we're going to show you what the effect of a few days will do when you help the bees by moving frames around. So we're going to start at the back here, as we always do. Take this one out. Now that was foundation, look, still foundation. It's getting there, but it'll need a few more days. So we're not going to do too much to this hive today. Now we're going to pull this one into the back, and all we're going to do is go straight to that one, because we know what these are. They're all pollen, they're all brood, but this is the one we really want to show. Now this one here. Now this will show you the benefits of doing frame manipulating, because when we transferred that frame over, they had started to work on it. They'd just drawn some of this out into cells, and since then, and that's only 5 days ago approximately, give or take, I don't know, didn't keep a proper track. But you see what's happened here. The queen has been in, she's laid this all up, the bees have capped it all off, and this is all brood now, which wouldn't have happened if we hadn't moved that frame up. So by bringing that frame out from the edge and putting it down through the middle, the queen's got onto it, she's laid it all up, and it's full of brood. And the other side is the same. Look, this is all brood, right through to here, from edge to edge, top to bottom, apart from a little bit of ½ inch at the top here, which is honey storage. So there you go, frame manipulation does work. The book says don't do it, but my advice is to learn how to do it, because it's a very valuable asset, building hives faster. Now, just as a matter of interest, 2 days ago, I came to this hive, I had a look, I then took a frame from here. You notice there's only 2 here, there were 3. Taken that one out and put it here. Now, if you look on this, it's all drawn. Yes, it's all drawn. And in actual fact, if we look on this side, you will find that mother's been onto it already, even though it's not fully drawn, and there's eggs in every one of those cells. So it shows you how quickly they will get at it if you give them the opportunity. So this whole frame from 2 days ago is now drawn out. They're putting honey up here, and this has all been laid up and it's got full of eggs. So my answer, frame manipulation, usable, learn it, it's very valuable. Now this is the hive we looked at the other day, the one that was turned into a drone layer, and here's where we're going to fix it. We're actually going to unite a nuke we've got back there to this, and it doesn't have to be a drone layer. It can be a queenless hive, it can be one that you've used for raking queens with, it can be queenless of any sort, it doesn't matter. And but this is the one way of uniting two hives together. Now always we put the queen right on the top. So this is queenless, and we're going to unite it using what they refer to as the newspaper method. And as we have very athletic bees, I thought I'd give them the sports page to read. Okay, little fun. All right, so we're going to put this over the top and stick it down, and then what we're going to do is we're going to spray this quite heavily with, and in this particular case it's sugar syrup with vanilla essence in it. Now the vanilla is just to make the hive smell different, yeah, and that's how we do it, because then it attracts the bees. And put this on one side, and now what we're going to do is actually poke some holes through here, little ones, not many, and not huge great big slashes, but certainly some, to get the bees started. Now what we have to remember is that nuke is towards the front. It's only a 3 or 4 frame, and we're going to put it so that it gets in there. Alright, so now give me a moment or two and I'll go and get the nuke, and then we'll put it on. Okay, so now all we do is literally just take this box and put it over the top of that one. Line them up. Line them up there, and we'll leave that now. Those bees now will eat their way through that paper, and the bees coming up will also want to know what's going on, so they'll eat their way and suck that juice down as well. These two hives will mingle together. That queen will then eventually move down, especially with a little bit of help from us, will then move down and take over the whole hive below. So there you go, that's simple, uniting, easy. We're almost at the end now, volume 1. It's high summer, beautiful weather, a little bit cold with a cool wind, but basically it's high summer. And I would be remiss to leave this tape without showing you and talking something about honey supering, because there's an area that people run into all sorts of problems, and the biggest problem they run into are these things, queen excluders. And they really shouldn't, because if you use these things, they are such a big advantage, but you have to learn how to use them properly. It's like everything, there is an art to this, and the art is very simple. Let me go back to the beginning. If you have frames, you're putting frames on the hive, and you want to do new wax, because new wax will give you clean white honey, light honey. So we tend to run new wax into stuff, and when you're putting on, like this one is a complete super here of wax ready to go back on the hive, you go to the hive and just put this on the top over a queen excluder, the bees won't want to look at it. They just don't touch it. And so the queen excluder, then they start filling all the holes up, they can't get through, and so the honey soap is empty, and then people say, oh, it stops the honey. It does not. What you should be doing is this. You've got a frame, you've got a box full of foundation. This, without the queen excluder, goes on the top of the brood. And now the bees will come through, and they will start to draw the wax out. This is a natural order of things. Now, if we then leave that long enough, and especially if you've got drone foundation in here, which you will have if you've got the same hive as we've got, that drone foundation will attract the queen. The queen will come up and start laying eggs in that, and what you'll end up with is this. You see that? That is in fact a comb of drone foundation that was used last year. We allowed the queen to get up into the box, and they immediately laid up this. Now it's only one brood. That's only one cycle. Because what we do is to use this as a varroa control. The minute that's capped over, it will have attracted a lot of free varroa that's running around the hive into those cells because it's drone. It's up where the older bees are, and that's where the oldest varroa is on the older bees. So now this will be a hive of varroa. So now what we do is we take this away, we put it in the deep freeze overnight, allow it to freeze out solid, bring it back out the following morning, allow it to warm up, and then put it back in the hive again. Now, here's what happens. The bees find out they've got dead brood. They will pull these caps off, remove and re-ingest the brood, the larvae, and at the same time, of course, the varroa is dead, falls off, and drops to the bottom of the hive. So you can see it's a good varroa control method. Do that twice in the season, and you've got rid of most of your free varroa. So backing up to where we were before, if you're putting frames on a hive that's mostly foundation, I think there's only one in the whole box, that's that one. All this is comb, so rather foundation. So you're going to end up with a box that the bees don't want to work in. So leave the queen excluder off. Even if you allow the queen up in one cycle, it won't matter, won't do any damage. But don't allow this to get black and black and black, because then we start getting dirty honey. So you allow the queen up, take that out, stick it in the fridge, and put it back in the hive. So you're going to get two things now. One is it will kill off varroa and minimize your varroa in the hive. And the second thing it will do, of course, is to tell you how hygienic your bees are. Some hives will clean out varroa, dead brood, faster than another. So that's the hive to breed from. Yeah? And ultimately you'll get a hive that will clean its disease problem up very much easier. So, the other thing I'd also like to discuss is cut comb. Cut comb. Now cut comb is literally slabs. I don't know if you've seen it. Slabs of comb capped over, full of honey, that you sell in a container. Now it's a very easy market. It is very profitable, and that's what beekeeping is all about. Let's take out one frame here. Now this is new foundation, and it is for cut comb. You'll notice there's no wire, and it's also very, very thin. This wax is, you would not believe, it's just as thin as tissue paper. But it has the cells embossed on it the same way. And if you want to do cut comb, then this is the way to do it. You take out 1 or 2 frames in the whole box and introduce a frame which has got cut comb wax in it. Now please bear in mind, this is a food product. People are going to eat that wax. Yeah, so handle it please carefully and treat it with some respect, because somebody's going to put it in their mouth. So we're going to put these combs, these frames, in a regular box, interspace them, mark the ends up. You see, we mark the ends up which says CC, which tells me it's cut comb, so that when I go to this hive I can very quickly look for the cut comb foundation and say, yep, that's clean, capped over, we'll take it. Because if you take it when it's early and clean, then you get good white caps. So let's go to a hive. We're going to put this one on. I'm going to show you. It's very simple. Just drop it on the top. In fact, it's really not necessary to show you that. So we're going to drop that on top of a hive. We're going to come back in 4 or 5 days when that comb's drawn, and then we'll put the queen excluder between it. So I don't think there's any real need to show you. Bear in mind, these, they go at right angles. The slots go at right angles to the frames. So there you go. That's superin, dead easy. With superin, you'll note here we've got 2 supers on, and this one I suspect is getting full. We just had a brief look, and there's a tremendous amount of bees up here, which is usually a pretty good sign that they're doing quite a good job. So we're going to have a look first of all out the front here, and you'll see that this is almost full. Look, not a great deal of space left in there before they start capping it over. So as we work, they always seem to start on the DE towards the front, and then they diminish towards the back. So ideally, what we could be doing is swapping frames around, but then when I look here, this is almost full as well. Look, see this? So I think what we should do is we should have a look. We'll go down one box. Oh, excuse me, using smoke today and it gets you. I'll cover this over first, and we'll put the inner cover back on it, and we're going to take this super off and have a look, see what they're doing with the one below it, and then subject to seeing that, we're going to make some decisions as to what we should do, because these bees are obviously running out of space, and that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. If they run out of space, they don't know where to put anything. And these guys are a little bit feisty, I've noticed in the past, so we'll just give them a little bit of smoke. And we'll see what they're doing. And I bet you will find some of these are capped over. Yep, there you go, look at that. See? Now, this is honey caps, nice white, lovely white cappings. And here they're going to fill this in. They're going to cap that over. Now that's still more than 10% in my estimation, so we shouldn't take that frame. We usually say 10% capped. And here they haven't done the other side. They're still working on that. So I think what we're going to do is to swap these boxes over and put another box underneath. Now the usual practice is to oh, smokers, I hate them. The usual practice is to that I do is bottom supering. So here's another one, you see, look, this is almost full. So I've got a feeling that what we should do is do some bottom supering. We'll take this one off, put this one right on the top, put that one in the middle, and then the new one underneath it. So that now we'll have the empty one on the bottom, we'll separate them from the honey, and they'll want to fill that quickly. So that's what we're going to do. Now, one of the things I don't understand the logic of, I go to some beekeepers' yards and they'll pile these supers up 5 or 6 high. To me it's silly. It's not cost effective. You're investing a lot of equipment unnecessarily, because you see there's still space even in here, a little bit, not a great deal. Still a little bit more space in here, we can still put some more honey in. And, oh, yeah, see that's full. So, okay, this is what we're going to do, decided. We'll take this one off, mount it right up on the top. This one's nearly full now. Mount this one on the top, take the middle one, put that in the middle, and then put the new one underneath. So come back in a minute, we'll show you what we've done, all done. So here we are, look. This is now as high as we're going to go. There really is no advantage building these boxes up any higher. If you think just in one poor small problem, the distance that a bee has to travel once he comes in that bottom entrance and go right through to the top, yeah, it's time consuming. So here's the maximum we're going to go to. Now here, this was the bottom one, this was the top one, and now we put a new one in here. So this is empty, this one's half full, and this one's almost full. So in a few days time this is going to be capped over. We did in fact have a look at these frames and we've rearranged them a little bit, so the capped ones now towards the outside edge. Don't leave them, otherwise they go what they call chimney, they go up through the middle like that. Yeah, leaving the frames on the outside, and that's not cost effective either. So shift the frames over, pull them into the middle if they're empty, and put the capped ones on the outside. Now once the whole box is capped over, take it off, take it back, extract it, because then you'll get the different colours of honeys as you go through the summer. Well, all good things must come to an end, and that's the case with volume 1. We are in fact out of tape, so we can't go any further than this. I hope you've learnt something. We have tried to show you just one method of doing things to avoid confusion. But somebody once said if you put 10 beekeepers in a room and ask them a question, you get 12 different answers, all of which will work. So if you have one method, fine. If not, keep an open mind. There are new ways of doing things. So this is the end of volume 1. We'll see you in volume 2, which will take us from summer to winter wrap up. And there's just as much interesting stuff in there, so I would really recommend that you try that. And even perhaps think in terms of queen rearing, because that's a tape that any beekeeper can use effectively. So thanks for watching. Bye.